What's going on, y'all? I'm KM Best, and I am well into the top 20 in the Infinite Ladder with Loki after the nerf. I wanted to show you everything I know about this deck. This is going to be a little bit more in-depth. We're going to go through various replacements. We're going to talk about my build, but also how you can customize the deck to be your own. So let's get started. This is my current build of the Loki deck. For those of you who are totally unfamiliar with the archetype, the goal of the deck is to create a large hand, play the card Loki, and then have an enormous hand of very discounted cards that your opponent put in their deck. You have the Collector as a major beneficiary of this plan. He often gets very, very large, and Quinjet helps to enable you to make even more explosive plays. Some of the major ways people attempt to counter you are with Galactus decks to get you before you actually can get rolling downhill, or with wave decks. In those matchups, you're going to end up having to play Loki on turn 4 rather than on turn 5 because they will wave you and your massive hand of cheap cards will all cost 4. Now, the main thing that you're going to have to keep in mind when you play this list is sequencing for the future. One of the things that a lot of people fall into the trap of is they have a Loki in hand, but they're still like focusing on making their Kitty Pryde pretty large or like getting Angela procs or whatever. And if you have a Loki in hand, your number one concern is, how can I play this as fast as possible? And how can I play it for as many cards as possible? Because fundamentally, when you play Loki, your win rate is completely absurd. It has one of the highest played win rates in the game. One of the highest played win rates I've ever seen for a non 6 cost Hela style finisher. It is an extremely powerful card, and you should understand that your normal mid-range stuff in a lot of matchups, you don't care. You're just going to Loki them. Now, the metagame has adapted to this list pretty well. There's a lot of Shadow King running around, which necessitates the inclusion of Cosmo. There are also decks that look to go over the top of you, things like Hela Tribunal, which Cosmo is also very good against if they're looking to Invisible Woman MODOK Hela you. Now, there are also some Cerebro 3 gamers. Cosmo's good there, but Luke Cage might be better. We're going to get into some more of the specifics of how the deck should be built right now. Loki is non-negotiable. You have to play this card when you play the Loki deck. That's pretty straightforward. The Collector is still, I believe, non-negotiable, but it is interesting to note that he seems to be the main thing that other decks are trying to attack in this list. So I do think he is non-negotiable, but like there is, okay, like a lot of people are playing Shadow King, right? And just playing Loki is genuinely really strong. There's no reason not to run him. Basically, I would never cut him, but he is actually noticeably worse after the nerf. There is no question about it. Quinjet is extremely, extremely powerful, but you should be a little bit wary of this card. One of the things I've noticed about my own Loki gameplay is I am not always playing Quinjet on one, especially in my build where I only have 3 cards that add cards to hand. Quinjet ends up being a card that I Loki away if I don't have a lot of ways to get to like 7 cards in hand. Like if I have a hand of like Quinjet, Agent Coulson, Loki, a decent amount of the time, I'm just trying to do Agent Coulson into Loki, depending on the matchup. Now, you do have to think about what that matchup is, but a lot of the time you can, see what they play on turn 1 and then make a more informed decision with the Quinjet. This deck does not play like a normal deck. It cheats so hard that you need to really think about how you want to manage not just your energy, but also your board space, especially in mirrors. Board space often ends up being the defining thing about how they play out, and using that board space on a 1-2 when most of the stuff you get in a mirror is going to be super cheap anyway is not always ideal. I consider America Chavez totally non-negotiable at this point. America Chavez specifically allows you to do the things that are very strong in your list, like, Loki, and do them more often because you are drawing Loki earlier in the game more often. Obviously, you don't want to draw Loki on turn 6. He's not really a turn 6 play. You want to play him before that a lot of the time. Now, I consider Chavez completely non-negotiable. I think most people consider Chavez completely non-negotiable. Even some notable Chavez haters are running Chavez in here. She is a core card. Next, we come to the cards that add cards to your hand. a lot of the time these cards are going to be Loki fodder, but you should keep in mind that if you have a lot of these cards and no Loki, your Quinjet plan is actually much stronger. I have found that Quinjet is actually one of the most powerful cards in the deck when you're not Lokiing people, when you're on your backup plan of going Quinjet into Agent Coulson and just playing some undercosted stuff as like a quasi-fair deck. That is actually when Quinjet has shined the most for me, because if you're not Lokiing people, you have much less of a concern about board space. You are much more able to be happy with just like, let's just play my cards out. I've got like a Coulson here. I'm actually going to play the cards off the Coulson. I'm going to get a bunch of 2/3s off of this Snow Guard that are going to enable me to do weird things to locations, and they're actually going to be 1/3s with the Quinjet. So back to Snow Guard herself, I consider her as good of an option as any. Probably the best one-cost card you could run. I have focused pretty heavily in this build on putting cards that are going to give me multiple cards in hand into the deck. So my choice here, because I'm only running 3 card generators, I'm running Snow Guard, I'm running Sentinel, and I'm running Agent Coulson. People that don't have Snow Guard are going to want to replace it probably with running 4 card generators. That's kind of the thing you're going to have to do. I get to skim because I have multiple ways of adding multiple cards to my hand. If you don't have Snow Guard, I think you replace it with, say, Agent 13, and then you cut something else for a Cable or a Mirage or whatever you want to be doing. But if you're not going to play Snow Guard, I do think you need to go up to 4 sources of card generation. A lot of people ask why I'm playing Sentinel over Mirage, and I do think I covered it a little bit, but this spot is specifically like you can kind of do whatever you want. Sentinel, Mirage, and Cable all have upsides and downsides. The major upside that Sentinel has is sometimes he's actually going to put more cards in your hand than the other ones. A Mirage's upside is obviously you get a little bit of information about what they're doing, and you get that +2 power, which I think is a little bit more impactful. And of course, Cable has the potential upside of just ripping a Loki out of the deck in the mirror and using that information asymmetry to achieve snap equity. I've gone for Sentinel. This one's up to you. Agent Coulson, I think, is actually non-negotiable. He's just too good. He's just too good. He puts multiple cards in your hand. He makes your backup plan come together really, really smoothly, like I talked about, talking about Quinjet Coulson lines. He does a ton of stuff. It's all very strong. And just putting 2 cards in hand as a 3/4 is a great segue into Loki. Your best like sequence of turns is almost always like you go like Collector into Agent Coulson into Snow Guard, Loki for 7. And like the game's just over right there. Like 95% of the time. It's just done. There's nothing most decks can do about that. And this card and Snow Guard putting 2 cards in your hand they're the best at what they do. They are, because of what they do, which is put 2 cards in your hand. I still feel like Kitty Pryde is a little bit awkward. A lot of the time I'm just spinning my wheels with her, but sometimes, you know, a 1/5 or a 1/6 is going to be better than the cards you get off of Loki. And you do have the additional synergy that she has with the Collector. And that is, you know, good enough, right? Like she pumps your Angelas. One of the main reasons that I have the backup plan that I do in this deck, outside of the Loki stuff, there are 2 main backup plans. Backup plan number 1 is Quinjet Coulson, like we talked about. But backup plan number 2 is just Kitty, Angela, Collector, just be like a mid-range deck and just try to get through it that way. Between Kitty, Angela, and Collector, we can put reasonable power on the board. We have things like Snow Guard and Legion to try to scam locations. There's a lot of things that this deck can do even when it's not playing Loki. It's just you have to understand that you are on a backup plan game. Angela is a key piece of that backup plan. Obviously, she is probably the worst card in the deck. I would suggest that if you really wanted to start messing around with this, Angela and Jeff are the cards I would consider cutting. Like if you wanted a 4th card generator and you were just sick of like ever being sat with the Loki in hand and no cards, then those would be the cards I would take a look at cutting. But right now, I think the balance is just about there with the 3 card generators that I'm running, that I don't feel completely terrible about having Angela and Jeff in the deck so that I have a functional mid-range backup plan. As far as Jeff specifically, the main reason he's in here is he just wins you games sometimes. Like there are some games where Jeff is just the single best card in Marvel Snap and nothing else is even close. And a card that gets you those kind of free wins is unbelievable. the minor Angela synergy that he has, which is, you know, you put him in the Angela lane, move him out, get an extra Angela proc. That's not nothing. But mostly he's in here because free wins are hard to come by, and you can get free wins off of this card, and you need to take all the free wins you can get. There's a similar logic to Legion in that it's a card that's just too good not to run in a deck like this, where you can collect free wins off of various Legion interactions, and it's not that painful to give to your opponent, right? So if your opponent is a Loki deck and you are playing Legion and they are playing Devil Dinosaur, your Lokis are going to be better than theirs because yours can get Devil Dinosaur and theirs only get Legion. And this is true of a ton of different cards. I've seen Shang-Chi in the Legion spot. Shang-Chi, Dino seem to be the main ones, and Legion I would rather give to my opponent. Basically 100% of the time, I would rather give them a Legion than either of those cards. Those cards are quite powerful in the mirror. So for that reason, Legion is my 5-cost card of choice. I think there are some other cards that you could think about running in here. Like if you don't have Legion, I think Dino is totally acceptable. One card that I've thought about running that I never got around to, but it seems pretty slick, is a Green Goblin. Because one of the ways that mirrors are won is board space. And something like Green Goblin it's just like, oh, wait, you can really win games off of that in a mirror. And it's like the kind of card that can also stop a Galactus, which is a very high priority thing to stop right now. It's something that has crossed my mind, but not something that I've pulled the trigger on because Legion is just too powerful to cut. Next up is my tech card slot, which for me is Cosmo. I think there are several things you could run in here. Cosmo is the one I've gone for because it covers the widest range. And I think one of the things about this deck that really strikes me is a lot of the times that you're going to be a Cosmo gamer are times when you're also going to be an Angela, Jeff, Kitty Pryde gamer. When you're not going to be a Loki gamer is when you're going to be a Cosmo gamer. And you're going to have to make some hard decisions. Like a lot of people are just going to Loki willy-nilly. And I think that's not always correct. A lot of the time, the better line is to just give up on the fun stuff and play a fair game of Marvel Snap where they don't know you have a Cosmo and you absolutely rip it when they try to do something to you. And, you know, that requires a decent amount of restraint. It really does. Even for me, a guy who is very focused on winning, a lot of the time I just want to rip it. It just feels right. And you can't. You got to play safe sometimes. And Cosmo is the card that I have found that does that the most. Something like Luke Cage could also absolutely go here. Maybe Mobius M. Mobius when he comes out. We'll see if the deck survives him. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with it. I think Cosmo is the best tech card slot now. I think with the rise of Shadow King, it got even better. And I think, you know, there's room to play around in this shell. But right now, I think my list is, you know, it's my favorite list for a reason. I wanted to devote some time to cards that you can run that I'm not choosing to run and how I would slot them into the deck as well. This is your toolbox, right? You have the deck, but now you can customize it a little bit. First up is Mirage, who is just a very strong card generally. Getting the information on what your opponent is doing in the mirror, sometimes you get like a kitty. You can get like a raft card with her sometimes. I've lost to that. Like, she's better than she looks. I think it's very close between her and Sentinel, and I would not blame you for choosing either direction. The newly buffed Shadow King might seem like a natural inclusion here, but one of the things about Loki decks is, you know, all right, I'm going to play this tech for the mirror, and then they Loki you, and then they get your tech for the mirror, and then that's just completely awful. So I have avoided playing Shadow King so far. Cable is probably the worst of the 3 2-cost cards that you can play in the card draw slot. Like, he's fine, and I think his snap, the fact that you know what you get and they don't know what you get makes him a very terrifying card to play against. Like, if someone plays a Cable against me and then snaps, I actually think I probably have to leave. Like, if it's a Loki mirror and they play a Cable and they snap, that's like, oh man, they got my Loki. Like, that's what that feels like. So there's definitely like a psychological warfare aspect to Cable that makes him like a pretty reasonable card, but I think my worry is he's not actually specifically more likely to get you something good. A lot of the time, he's just going to get you something completely mediocre, and then they're going to be like maybe one card closer to the Loki they otherwise wouldn't have drawn. And I think that's the major issue that I have with Cable, which is not that he's bad. I just think it's probable that the other two, Mirage and Sentinel, are a little bit better. Luke Cage is a perfectly acceptable card to run in the Cosmo slot if you are hard targeting something like High Evolutionary, Cerebro 3, and Valkyrie decks. Or Shadow King decks, right? So that is the specific use case for Luke Cage. The thing is, Cosmo covers, like, not all of those. Doesn't cover High Evo, obviously, but it covers a lot of them, and it's better in the mirror. And so for that reason, I have opted for Cosmo. I've seen people like, okay, I'm going to cut Jeff for Luke Cage. I think that's a bridge too far because losing the free wins off Jeff is kind of similar to the free wins you get off of Luke Cage. But I should note that if you do put Luke Cage in here, you're probably going to want Legion because Luke Cage plus Legion leads to some really unfair negative zone on all three lane kind of things. And that's something a lot of people don't think of. I've lost to that, just not even thinking about it. And you will get people when you make plays like that. So he's very, very good with Legion. I've been talking this whole video like there are only 3 options for the 2-cost slot. And I remembered at the end that, oh, wait, I actually need to talk about Maria Hill as well. What I will say about Maria Hill is don't play her. Play any of the other 3-cost options over her at any time. And you never probably need all 3 of them, so you should never be playing this card. So, let's talk a little bit about Nick Fury and why I find him a little bit wanting here. Nick Fury is a very solid card. I think he was a lot better in the early days of the meta, where you would be able to actually, like, do stuff on turn 6, but now people are just waving you too much. And he is a great backup plan, I find, but it's not that he's better than Legion, because he's not. And he also gets you into these play patterns where, since so much of your card draw is loaded onto him, you want to shave on the earlier ones, which means you end up becoming a turn 5 Loki deck a lot, which in a vacuum, there's no problem with that. But in the specific context of the metagame, there's a huge problem with that, and it's called wave. And if you're a turn 5 Loki deck, you're giving up a lot of ability to play into wave. And there's no way to not be a turn 5 Loki deck if you're playing this guy. A lot of people who don't have Snowguard are going to ask about Agent 13. I think if you don't have Snowguard and you want to play Agent 13, you also need to go up to a 4th source of cards here. Because Snowguard puts 2 cards in hand, she's just a lot better than Agent 13. And she's a lot better both in terms of filling up your hand for Loki and just in terms of being a better card by a lot. So if you do want to play Agent 13, I don't blame you. I think it's a fine thing to do. I think you're just going to have to also play an additional one of the 2-cost guys. Devil Dinosaur is a totally acceptable card to play in the Legion slot. I mean, this is a deck that wants to have its hand full. Like, it's a very natural fit. If you are someone who doesn't have Legion, I have absolutely no issues with you playing Devil Dinosaur. I think right now I'm like 60-40 that Legion is better, but I will freely admit that I think it's very close. And if you have a differing opinion, you are good to go. You are 100% okay to play Devil Dinosaur over Legion. Go nuts. Moon Girl, on the other hand, I think is cope. I just don't think you want to be doing this. I get it, but like, I don't think you want to be a Moon Girl deck. Again, it's the same problem with Nick Fury, where like it makes your Lokis weird, and you're like Moon Girling into Devil Dinosaur, and it's like, that is so incredibly predictable. I don't like it. Dino I'm good with. Moon Girl is about where I draw the line for pretty much the same reasons as Nick Fury. All right, y'all, this was as in-depth as I could make it in the form that it was. I will note I'm recording this at like 4 in the morning, so I hope you enjoy what I've got. This is my Loki just brain dump. I've been playing this deck forever, the last week or so, and I have just been like one-tricking it. This is everything I know about how to build it. We're also going to jump into some games after this, so you can watch me pilot the list. These are games from my stream. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/kmbestms. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know there's going to be people in the comments that are like, oh, another Loki video from KM. You're goddamn right. You're goddamn right. You're going to get what makes me climb on ladder. This list is still making me climb. I'm above 10.2k snap points. I'm going to keep playing this deck. I'm going to keep winning until it stops winning. I'm going to keep winning with it, right? Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Yeah, 12k tokens. Well, then what you're supposed to do, KX, play the game out. God damn it. What you're supposed to do is open for Eliath because he's 6k, and then spend tokens on the next ones you want. Is how it works usually. Oh, fuck is that? Oh! Oh, gross. That's so mean. Oh. Oh, man. Yeah, generally the way you do is you open for 6Ks, and there are so many 6Ks in this box, right? If you don't have Hitmonkey, there's a... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, God help me. Okay, you know what we're doing here? We're fucking firing. We're fucking firing this shit off. And you know what we're doing next turn? We're fucking doing it again. We're about to play the worst fucking play of Marvel Snap you have ever seen ever. You ready for this shit? That's... Oh, ongoing effects don't happen there! We did it! Let's go! Let's go! Okay. Okay. Hand empty, baby. Doc Ock. Doc Ock going beast mode. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, Doctor Octor. All right, so way I see it, we cannot lose. If I am not greatly mistaken, we cannot lose here. They could tie on a Magneto. Okay. The base Doc Ock. No way, dude. That came off an Agent Coulson, brother. That came off an Agent Coulson. All right. Well, that's fucking awful. No goblins allowed. No goblins allowed. Move Jeff left. I already did that. No goblins allowed. Snap? I don't know about that. Eliath? I think if we maintain Prio both ways, we win. I don't know his exact deck. Just pass. Is he running the fucking Infinite here? I don't understand. What is happening right now? Am I getting fucking infinited? What in the fuck? Oh, okay. He was calculating and time ended? I'm pretty sure he was 100% dead, but I'd be interested to know if he wasn't. I feel like he was dead as fuck. I feel like he was just relentlessly dead. Heinously and brutally dead. I'm not getting Cosmoed, goddammit. If you hit number one, will you try to see how long you can stay at the top? Maybe. Oh god, did I get Cosmoed? Okay, I didn't get Cosmoed. Phew! I was worried I got Cosmoed here. The biggest Marvel character that doesn't have a card at this point. That's a good question, I think. Oh shit, Ronin! Oh shit, Ronin! This is a losable game, but one that I think is hard for him to figure out. Like, it's the kind of game we can lose if he's sniping and got some good rolls, but Tanjo's not a sniper. But it definitely is losable, I think. It's just hard for us to lose. GG's. Yeah, I bet it was. Hate this. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. All right, here's the thing. Goblins are not real and cannot hurt me. Isn't it always leader? Does that work the way I want? No, because that still fills up my lane. Maybe it is leader Odin. What the fuck do I know? No goblin, motherfucker! No goblin! 0 goblins! Fuck you! Let's go! Let's go! I am not falling for that shit again. That is not fucking happening to me again. There's no goddamn way. I lost to that shit once today. I'm not fucking doing it again. I am not fucking doing it again. It is not happening. It is not happening. It is not happening. Okay, so the reason I made this play was if they goblined either of these lanes, which is kind of the only card that costs 5 in his entire fucking deck, we're good. And if he goblins here, I have priority and I can just Eliath the Galactus, right? So I don't think I can possibly lose on this play. Where, like, we go like this, and then we can Eliath the Galactus over here, because I'll have prio basically 100% of the time. I ended up in a spot where... Ugh. Ugh. Oh, gross. I imagine I'm dead here. Doom? Looks like Doom to me. Looks like a Doctor Doom to me. Eliath would lose. It would lose him the game. Eliath would lose him the game. If we got basically a single card draw guy off of that, we were gonna win. That's life. Oh, I feel like that's really good for me. I feel like that's quite good for me. You fucking Galactus me? Are you a fucking Galactus gamer right now? Am I getting fucking actual Galactus on right now? This is the biggest guy I have. You gotta be shitting me. You gotta be shitting me. Atuma would die if I tried to play anything else there. Coolio. So we know they have a Shang. We know they have a Shang, and they would go middle with it if they have it. That looks like a Shang to me, buddy. That looks like a Shangers to me. Is that Mr. Shang Cheese himself? Let's go, baby. We knew all along. Yo, Woody, I saw you in the chat, buddy. Let's fucking do it. It's Yo Woody. It's Yo Woody. My Woody. Zabu? The fuck? Atuma isn't even ongoing, dude. Ah. You know, normally it's like, alright, let's do that. Not today. Ongoing effects are disabled here actually kind of does fuck them up. Yo, Woody. Yeah, it's my Woody. Woo, those are cards. Those are cards. I know you got a Shadow King. Oh, R.I.P. to the Shangers, though. R.I.P. to the Shangers, though. God damn. I think that we just have to play around it in one location, right? There's only one Darkhawk, and so 6 should be big enough to beat it here. Now it's 7, so we should be good to go. Yeah, we're good to go. Right? There's only one Darkhawk, and the one Darkhawk beats us everywhere, but their max power outside the Darkhawk is 6. So all we need to do is go 6, 6. We need to just go +6 on as many lanes as we possibly can. All other 16 people are awake. Yeah, it's a tough life. It's a hard knock life, chat. Eliath is not very good, I think. Yeah. What kind of deck is comfortable waiting 2 turns? I'm guessing it's something that loses to Cosmo. I don't know, though. Oh, God! Yes! I don't know if that's a snap. We get waved here. It's not my favorite thing that's ever happened. Granted, it would have to be on Throne Room or Lemuria, so maybe that's fine. Anyway, if we don't get waved, we probably just get like 87 of their cards and win. But this is a wave, right? Oh, no wave. Oh, okay. Then we have some interesting things to think about. Let's say they Doctor Doom. Let's say they Doctor Doom on the Throne Room. No, on Lemuria. This beats Doctor Doom on Lemuria. Got him, baby. We got him exactly. Did not play around Wasp, by the way, but did play around the Doom. Did play around the Doom, and it's always Lemuria. It's always that. It's every single time that's what happens. Oh my fucking god. Dude, it's the back-to-back mod snipes. Back-to-back mods. No, I'm not sniping this. Nope, not doing it. not snapping it. Nope, not snapping it. Arg? Yeah, get arged on, motherfucker. Holy shit. I'm not snapping this. Are you kidding me? Get wrecked? I'm trying to climb to 1. I'm trying to climb to 1 over here, man. Well, there goes our last chance. This is the worst game of all time. Oh boy. Oh boy. Nice. We're about to get Galactus, aren't we? We are so getting Galactus. Imagine this. Imagine this happening to you. Oh my god. Oh my god.